Hi, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of The Author Tells, our series where we talk to our authors about their books, the writing process, and their characters. And today I have with me Shibani Shah, the author of His Love Play. So, Shibani is a marketing person by day and a writer by night. So, she has a lot to tell us, and we're very excited to dive into her book, His Love Play. So, Shibani, first off, thank you for coming, and we're very happy to have you with us on Zoom today. So, how about we start off with just you telling us a little bit about yourself and, what do you do as your day job and how did you kind of get into writing?
Hey, Aakriti, and hello everyone. Thank you so much for listening to us today. And going to your question, it's a difficult job. Managing both the things, the professional life as well as my passion for writing. But if you do have passion for something that you're doing, you manage it very easily.
Oh, well,
So
that's a lovely answer.
yeah, so you can say that I am a marketing professional in my daytime, and at night I write my books. So,
Okay. No, please
yeah,
continue.
starting with, yeah, please.
Oh, no, please continue. I interrupted you.
Yeah, so starting with His Love Play, that was my very first book that I wrote. And you can say it is a baby which was made during the night.
Okay. Really? Was it like, stolen moments in the night, waking up at midnight and writing down one chapter hurriedly?
You can definitely say that. Some of them some of them I have written throughout the night.
Wow.
And weekends were the most where I could give to my books. But yeah, it's something like lunchtime is also enough for you to write if you really want to write.
That's true. A writer can write anywhere for sure.
Yeah, so true.
Right. So, how did you get into writing, really? Since, like you said, you kind of are in the industry of marketing, how did writing come about for you?
So I have been writing from quite a long time now. Possibly during my college days, I started writing here and there. Nothing that is related to books, but my journey started into writing for marketing, like in a content. But then I gradually started putting down my thoughts in words. By the way, my platform itself goes by thoughts by words.
Oh, lovely.
So yeah, so that's exactly how it started. I started testing what I like to write, to understanding what I would love to write, and gradually from writing for marketing content I moved to writing books.
Okay, very interesting. So, was his love play your real first foray into fiction writing? Like, that's the kind of first story you wrote with a proper storyline and characters coming through?
You can say that, but I have been writing short stories before this. I wasn't very big on promoting them because I used to just put them on my blog, so my readers were able to read it. But I did not give these activities much of my attention because of my daytime job. But then his love play came into picture when I actually wanted to write a rom-com.
Mhm.
So the idea was not writing something which is very romantic, but it was writing something which would make people laugh.
Okay.
So I had no thought process behind the story. I just one day decided I'm sitting down to write something which is going to make me laugh when I read it. And the story just started building up.
So no, like there was no kind of inspiration behind it, or just some favorite movie or a favorite author that inspired you to kind of write this romantic comedy, or was it just like an interest because you read this genre and that's you wanted to write something that you would want to read?
Kind of in bits and pieces. I got inspiration from a lot of things, be it books, be it people, be it whatever I hear in my day-to-day life.
Okay.
But the story, it to be frank, it just was made when I was writing it down. So I had two people in mind. I had their characteristics in mind. I knew how I want to portray Ronnie and how I want to portray Grace. But beyond that, it was a complete journey for me to like sit in front of the laptop and make it.
Okay. So, I know we just kind of dived into his love play. So, can we maybe give our listeners and our viewers a little bit of a summary of his love play? Would you like to tell our viewers what his love play is about and who Ronnie and Grace are?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So, I'm sure some of must have already been through it. I'm crossing my fingers that is the case.
Yes,
But for
I hope so too.
but for those who have not come across this yet, I would try to justify the storyline right now in short words. So his love play is basically based on Ronnie and Grace, but you will see some bits of their family too, majorly from Grace's side. The storyline begins with them, but it definitely grows having the family in the mix, and the kinds of banter which goes between the family members like Grace, her sister, and her dad and mom. It's worth a read. At the very same time, the chemistry that Grace and Ronnie shares from the get go when they meet for the first time and they get to know each other, knowing the fact that they might not get time to spend together for long because of XYZ reasons. I'm not going to dwell into all those reasons.
Yes, no spoilers.
No spoilers. But then the kind of chemistry that builds between them in that very short period of time and the kind of trust that Grace builds in Ronnie is something to definitely read.
Okay. Yes, that's a great, I think, short summary for our readers. And speaking about Ronnie and Grace, I know you said you weren't completely inspired by anyone and kind of just flew through you, but any inspiration for Ronnie and Grace? Who I think in your life do you see as these two characters? Is there something within yourself or any part of you that's reflected in your characters?
Okay, starting with myself first. I see the um how do I put this? So I'm not a very complicated person, okay? I'm lighthearted. I can flow with anything that I get. I see Grace when I picture myself. I see Grace blending, being flexible, and facing any kind of challenge that she comes across. And when I see Ronnie, I do some of myself in him as well, because I won't call myself the most confident person, but I would definitely say that I do have a little bit of confidence like Ronnie has. So he has faced a lot of issues in his life, be it from family, from friends, or from past girlfriends. But the way he's come out of it, though his trust and beliefs in all things considered love is broken, but there's a hope for him. And he knows how to give, like, and ignite that hope. So I see that in myself as well. And
Mm.
wherein you asked if there's an inspiration coming from a couple in like my real life, I would say I have seen my so one of my cousin, elder brother, I'm not gonna say his name, but I'm sure he would come to know about this, that I'm talking about him and my bhabhi. So they have been a huge role model for me wherein relationships come. I have seen them grow. I have seen them fight, the banters, the love that they share, the affection in their eyes, etc. So the kind of chemistry I'm talking about between Ronnie and Grace from the get-go, I
Mhm.
saw the exact kind of chemistry with, like, my brother and my bhabhi when they came together, like
Yes.
10 years back, possibly.
Sweet. That's lovely to know that
Yeah.
a real life Ronnie and Grace exist in your life. That's so sweet.
Yeah, and inspiration, definitely. I wouldn't call them the exact persona
Of
of
course,
them. Yeah,
but
but
somewhat inspiration, like a
somewhat,
5%. Their
definitely.
love has been inspired from, Ronnie and Grace's love has been inspired from them.
Oh, totally.
So,
And I
and that's
see my, sorry,
uh
I see my brother as well. Like,
okay.
Yeah, he's also very sweet, just the way Ronnie is.
And do you see yourself, not yourself, but anybody else specifically as Grace? Just because Grace is supposed to be this really sweet, simple girl who's also at the same time very sassy and confident in herself. Do you see, unknowingly, do you think it's based on you?
Maybe I think people who know me would know better. Yeah. So I kind of cannot comment on this clearly because Grace is a character which has developed a lot of things.
Mm.
Maybe one person cannot completely justify what Grace is. If I try to club n number of people, maybe then I'll be able to build Grace. But yeah, but other than that, Grace is just like any other girl, like me, like you, like anybody that we know in our circle. She has aspirations, she has dreams, she wants to fall in love, she finds the right guy, but she realizes maybe she's not the right guy. But she has her own ways of dealing with all of these things.
Mm.
And that is what is more interesting to know, learn.
Yes, she's headstrong. That's what's the best part. She's not like a simpering girl ready to fall for any guy who's there for her. Yes. So
True.
I think we spoke a little bit about the writing process where you said it was kind of like writing snippets in the night, sometimes sitting up all night and writing chapter after chapter. But what do you think in your journey? Because we also kind of worked a lot over it during the editing process. There were some changes I suggested, and you were very happy to make them. And you thought that, okay, they made sense to the storyline, which I was glad about. So, how do you think in the process, do you see that how much has the storyline developed, and how much do you think the characters themselves have transformed when you first wrote them? Because a lot of times people say characters have a mind of their own. So, maybe you set out for Ronnie and Grace to be certain kind of people, but over the course of the chapters and the episodes, they're now taking their own decisions, which, you can't even change. Do you think that happens?
So going back to the editing process and the suggestions that I received at the time, I would say those were the best suggestions I could have got, because there was definitely a huge transformation from what the book was initially to what it is now. So I'll just put it simply, it was amazing even then. But if you
Yeah.
properly put a face to it, you know exactly how it's going to look. So we made those changes to make sure that the book was perfect.
Correct. That's right. We did.
Yeah. So I am very satisfied with those changes, and all thanks to you because you worked on the book and made sure that I am going in the right path to make it the perfect read. So that said, about the characters, if there has been any changes, developments there, I wouldn't exactly say that I modified what characteristics I had given to them, but I would say I brought more light to it.
Hmm.
So I added more about them to describe what they are, how they feel, or what they see in that particular situation. So all those things will help the readers to emotionally
Understand.
connect in that particular plot. So that was very helpful, and I could do that, gosh.
I mean, we worked on the book together. It was complete collaborative effort, and it was just to make it 5% more better. It was already really interesting read, but just to make it slightly better. But yeah, do you think there was anything you hated about writing Ronnie and Grace, or about writing his love?
Hmm. I don't know. I kind of find it a very tricky question. I should not say that I hated anything about.
I mean, but you
I
could.
know
It's not easy
I could
writing.
definitely, no,
Yeah.
definitely. There was a time when I was writing it in a very different direction, and all of a sudden something clicked, and I moved it in a different direction.
Oh, really?
So
What path were you planning to take?
oh, I don't want to spoil or create any
Oh,
confusion in the minds of readers by giving you two stories. But all I can say is at the moment, the kind of challenges that you see in their lives, it wasn't that. It was completely different. More like a Hindi movie where you see too much of drama and no concrete story to go with it. Yes, it was Mirch Masala, but then I thought maybe I want to give more to the book, kind of a proper story, so that people can relate to it, can understand, accept it. So I changed the direction of the story altogether. And then came a time when I was thinking, should I have done that? I was going in the right direction initially. And why did I do this? Because there is a concept called writer's block, and I have faced it myself. So I started questioning myself why I made this decision and possibly started hating too. Why am I writing this book now? Maybe I should stop it because I don't know where I'm going. But then I did not give up. I thought if there's something in my head, I want to write it down, no matter what. If people like it, don't like it, that is a secondary thought. What matters to me is that I completed. I did not want it to give up.
You didn't want to give up.
And yes, and now I am glad I did not give up because I have heard some really positive reviews from my friends and family and network. And it's been very enlightening and happy feeling for me.
Ah, that's so nice to hear. Yes, I can completely imagine writer's block. I'm sure many authors face that, and it is crippling because you've built up this story and you've built it with such passion and love, and then just that block is not allowing you to go further and cripples your creative ability and energy. So I'm really glad you got past that and you still
Oh
produce
yeah.
a really nice, light-hearted story. I think that's one of the things I love about his love play, that it's not just romantic, but like you said, it brings out more playful characters with Grace's family and Ronnie's friend, and even Grace's friends. It's a very wholesome read.
Yeah, I
Actually,
hope you like it.
speaking about wholesome, it's not completely clean. I mean, there are some smut scenes or erotic scenes involved in the book. So, was this your first time writing just intimate scenes, and how did you handle that process?
It was my first time writing that. But it wasn't difficult because once you are in flow of that story, your mind is there. I wouldn't say your mind is in gutter, no, but but I think writing those stories, you need your mind to be in gutter.
Yes, to get
Going,
to nail that, you do need a little bit of a gutter mind.
yeah, true. So, going back to your question, it wasn't difficult, but it wasn't smooth flowing as well,
Mm,
because you have to picturize everything when you write something. And it's a fact no one can argue with. You put yourself in the story.
correct.
You develop from there. You see where you are going in like in the shoes of the character, and that is how you write. So it's a little complicated to put yourself in the shoes and then write the story, because the opposite person is not exactly who you want to be, right? But it's fun.
It was a fun writing. I mean, at least these scenes are more fun to write than, dark themed scenes and emotionally heavy scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is not my genre. I don't have a mind for that. I mean, it takes another level of talent to write those things. I wouldn't put myself in that challenge.
Actually, that brings me very well to my next question. Like, aside from like romantic comedy stories, which genres do you see yourself experimenting with? Perhaps not emotionally heavy stories, but maybe a chick lit or a book about friendship or
Mm,
something along those lines. What do you see yourself writing?
you are on the point. I would love to write. I would definitely love to write those. Plus, I would love to write investigations. So I love detectives and the crime scene and solving the crime. So
Oh, that sounds
I am
fun.
eyeing that. Yeah, totally. Like recently, if you'll see my Netflix, you'll come to know that I've been watching all the investigator stories.
Or is it, are you prepping for your next story?
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. I've been writing some plots, like cleaning them, writing again, cleaning them. But then again, of course, I would love to explore that side
Hmm.
of me and see if I can genuinely, like, do justice to those kind of stories.
Okay. And what do you say you would like? What kind of genre do you like in your personal reading?
I love everything except for horror stories. I don't have a stomach for that.
Even I don't have the most stomach for that. But would you even tend to read like heavy drama and heavy literature?
I do. So I wouldn't say that I would complete the book or I have completed the book. Most often it happens that I leave it midway. Because yeah, but then again, I do love to read. I start with it. If I am hooked enough to complete it, I definitely complete it.
Okay, yeah, I think that's definitely the case with me as well. If it's interesting enough, it just needs to hold your attention for you to read through. Whether it's 4 pages, it's 400 pages. It just needs to be interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And everyone has a different taste and mood for a particular
Oh, yes.
story. So
The mood is extremely important. Yeah.
very.
So, what are you in the mood to read on saga fiction?
Oh, so I am actually in a mood to read some love story.
Well, that's perfect. We have ample of those. Apart from your own, we also have some other love stories.
Yeah, I am eyeing actually roaming hearts of Udaipur.
Yes, that's a very sweet like a teenage angsty love story.
Yeah, I would definitely love to read that. Plus, it's an Indian plot. So
Yeah.
my book is definitely not an Indian plot, and I want to read something which comes from that. And I love Udaipur.
Yes, I also love Udaipur. Actually, that brings me to a very interesting question, which I forgot to ask earlier. Why do you think you chose a non-Indian setting for your story? Being an Indian, is it something that you purposely kind of chose? Like it was a very conscious decision, or just that's how the story flew?
um for his love play, it was definitely not a conscious decision. It just happened. Like the characters were built in my head, and when the story started flowing, the story is definitely not an Indian based story.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
you have the ranch life, you have horses, and you have so many other things. So it did not sit well with the Indian setting. But if you ask me whether I would like to continue writing on
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
non-Indian stories, I would say 80% yes, because when we write Indian stories, there's culture that we have to ensure that we do justice to, right? And I don't see myself like getting so much involved in understanding, learning about every culture and doing justice in the books. Yeah. But someday, possibly, I would love to write Indian stories as well. But since this is just the start of my journey writing, maybe I would stick to something which is a safe play for me.
Okay. And why did you choose like a ranch life for his love play? And like, you've shown the holidays and just the cowboy thing. And that was very interesting to me actually. And I was just wondering why, like, what was the reason?
Two things. I love horses, and my fantasy is a cowboy. You get the idea, right?
Oh, I love that answer. I totally get that idea. Though I must say, Ronnie wasn't a cowboy. Grace was more the cowgirl. But for your next story, I think we should have a very nice, steamy cowgirl romance.
Oh, yeah, I'm macho man. Definitely.
That would be great.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that's great. Actually, I'm all out of my questions. That was I think, a great discussion on his love play and the characters, and in a delve into your writing process. I'm sure our listeners found something very interesting to hear about the story in this. And yeah, so thank you, Shibani, for joining us today. And to everyone out there, please to read his love play by Shibani Shah. Download the Saga Fiction app. All the episodes are live there. And yes, it's a great love story to read. And we'll be back next week with another author on board talking about his or her book. So see you next week. Thank you,
Thank
Shabani.
you so much for having me. Bye.